All right, welcome back to the Farm Cook Kitchen. Today we've got a special treat. We're making Chicken Allison. Welcome back to the Farm Cook channel. This is the place where you get to eat well, have fun, and hopefully learn lots, especially about low carb and keto cooking. So now, let's get ready and make some dinner. So the dish that we're making today is really something that the barbecue brethren would call an MSU. Make stuff up dish. And it started off as chicken cacciatore. But when my brother-in-law was helping to get dinner ready and decided, hey, let's make chicken cacciatore, my wife doesn't really like mushrooms. So I thought, what can I sub in for the mushrooms that would be okay for her? And he thought, brilliant, let's add carrots. So the dish has evolved over time. That dish was yummy, but it was very cacciatore forward. This dish is a little bit different. It's still a tomato sauce with sauteed carrots and chicken that's in there, but it's a much more basic, much more streamlined thing. And I hope you enjoy it. It does not have mushrooms in it. It's not really, I don't think, reasonable to call it cacciatore anymore, which is why I called it after my wife, because she really enjoys the cooked carrots in with everything else. So what do we have? We've got a couple of packages of thin sliced chicken that I have just rough chopped, because it doesn't really matter. They're gonna cook first in a saute pan, and then they're gonna go into the tomato sauce to finish cooking. I've got a big pot here to go with a couple of cans of tomato, a couple of cans of tomato paste, and a little bit of passata to sort of even out the final sauce. And we've got some building blocks for the sauce that includes onions, garlic, and of course carrots, plus some seasonings. So let's get started making dinner. So what do we need to get started? We need heat. I'll spark and then heat. Need some butter. Got 2 tablespoons of butter that we're going to use to saute the veg. Going to drop in some avocado oil as well, just to keep everybody mixing together happily. And once this starts to get a little bit hotter, we'll add the onions and get them going. Onions provide such a terrific flavor when you're trying to build flavors into a sauce. And depending on how hard you cook them, they can impart a huge amount of flavor or just be very much a background note. If you enjoyed caramelized onions, they are awesome and very intense. If you back off on the cooking and don't get them to that full caramelization, they'll be very nice, very pleasant in the background. And if you don't cook them very long at all, they can be very, very sharp. So depending on how long you cook the onions, that determines whether or not it's going to be a pronounced onion flavor, it's going to be something relatively mild, or something that packs a lot of oomph in addition to the sort of onion character. So speaking of onions, let's get them in. So these guys are going to take, I don't know, probably around 5 minutes to get to the point where I want them for this dish, which is translucent, not down the road to caramelization, hardly any color at all on them. So that's what I'm going to do. The other thing that needs to go in at this point, carrots. I've got about a half a pound of carrots that have been cut on a bias. I think, and they're about not thin, maybe a 1/4 inch or so. I enjoy carrots cut on a bias because they are able to withstand a fair amount of cooking time, and they still hold together very well. They're also not so small that they sort of disappear. And sometimes if you use something like shredded carrots or a fine diced carrot, you don't really get the carrot character at all. And This dish is all about the carrot. Well, it's actually all about my wife, but the carrots are the flavor that we're going for and the texture. So we want to get these guys sauteed. It's just going to take a couple of minutes, so I'll be back. We're now about 5 minutes into the cooking process. The onions are getting nice and translucent, very soft. They're giving up their moisture. The carrots are starting to get a little softer. Things are coming together nicely. Haven't added anything else aside from the butter and the veggie oil to try and help bring these guys together. We're going to season the whole sauce later. The only seasoning that is in here aside from those ingredients is from the salt that was in the butter. So this is coming along beautifully. It's almost time to add the garlic, which we might as well add now. So I've got probably 4 cloves of garlic that are squished, and those are just going to get incorporated in with the carrots and onions. Smell is fabulous. There's something magical about sauteing onions on the stove, and then when you add the garlic, just amplifies things. Yum, yum. So this is going to go for another minute or so, and then we're going to start adding tomato products. So this mix has been cooking for another couple of minutes while I was getting the cans off, or the lids off of the cans of tomato. And it's coming together beautifully. There's a little bit of color from the carrots that is influencing the rest of the dish, but we're going to take care of that right now. Got 2 28-ounce cans of whole peeled tomatoes. These happen to be San Marzano because that's what I had at home. And they are yummy. And for a dish that's this basic, this simple, having good tomatoes is a must. So this happened to be Cento brand, but I've used other San Marzano tomatoes, and Cento are very reasonable from a cost perspective and from a flavor perspective, to my palate. All right, so that's 2 of those 28-ounce cans, and now we're going to add some passata. For those of you that are not familiar with it, this is basic tomato puree that is wonderful. This happens to be a Mutti, M-U-T-T-I brand that includes a little bit of basil. This is a very good quality passata. Happen to find it on sale at my local supermarket, so that's why I got it. But I've had good success with Cento as well. So now, need to get everybody mixed together. And as the sauce cooks, the tomatoes are going to break down. I'm going to facilitate that process by poking at them with the spatula, helping them to release the juices that are inside and break down the meat so that it gets incorporated into the sauce. This sauce doesn't take terribly long to cook, but it does take I don't know, maybe 45 minutes to an hour altogether. It's not like something you cook all day on a Sunday afternoon. So I've got 2 cans of tomato paste. It'll help provide a little more substance to the sauce, a little velvety texture, as well as some tomato intensity. Now, if you did have a lot of time, you could actually cook down the tomatoes and the onions first, saute the carrots later and add them after the sauce had already cooked for a while and reduced and gotten to the point where you are happy with it. But this is something, this dish is something that I think is reasonable to put together on like a Friday night as a special, you know, you want to celebrate the end of the week and do something nice, and it doesn't take forever to cook. It does take about an hour for it to all to come together. But that's not, it's not too much time, especially if you have a little bit of prep done in advance. It's not bad at all. It is not a one pot meal. We do have another pot ready to go, or a pan ready to go on the fire for the next phase of this process. So let's get to that while this takes some time to break down. We're now ready to move on to the next part of the process, which is getting the chicken cooked. So first things first, we need some heat and spark. It's a nice big pan. We'll be able to get a lot of the chicken, probably all the chicken, cooked at one time. And then we'll be able to transfer from here into there to have the sauce finish cooking. So again, we're gonna add a couple of tablespoons of butter. Add a little bit of avocado oil. And for a regular old residential range, these two burners put out a very decent amount of BTUs. And it's not flamethrower season, but they do okay. So it won't take long for this stuff to get to the right temperature. And then we'll add the chicken. Chicken has been seasoned. Just a mix of a little bit of salt, pepper, and a little sazon completo. Shout out to Dr. Flavor. Learned a lot from him during scout outings, and we were cooking together. And that is his go-to seasoning for just about everything. So now, everybody in the pool, well, everybody in this pan, anyway. Again, this is just sort of rough chopped chicken. You don't have to be too obsessive about it for this kind of a dish, because we're really just trying to get it broken down from those. The thin sliced chicken comes in basically slices that are like sheets, and it just seems like a little bit much to have to negotiate if you're serving the meal with some pasta. That means you have to get the knife out and you have to cut up the chicken. So I take care of it beforehand, and that way you just enjoy the meal, if you're enjoying it with pasta, that is. Got to give these guys some love too. Let these guys take on a little bit of color. And pretty soon we'll have dinner ready. All right, the chicken is done. Or at least it's the level of doneness that we're looking for. Just gonna throw everybody in the pool. There's gonna be some liquid that has been released by the chicken cooking. That's gonna help to season the tomato sauce. There's also some of the butter and oil that's in there. Again, it's all good. It's all seasoning. I probably should have used a larger pot. This happens a lot when I cook. So, I'm not going to put quite everything in, but that's enough, I think. Now to get the sauce and the chicken all stirred up, Everybody evenly mixed, and turn down the heat and just let this simmer and let the chicken flavor meet and meld with the tomato flavor and the carrots and the onions and in another, I don't know, 30 or so minutes, this will be ready. In the meantime, because there's such a large amount of tomato, I am going to season it with some salt, and I'm going to be pretty aggressive with the seasoning. This is about I don't know, teaspoon and a half of salt to start. That's the only seasoning that I've added so far, aside from, like I said, the salt from the that was already in the butter. So let's mix that together and throw in a little bit of fresh pepper as well. We'll add more and adjust once the sauce has a chance to reduce a little bit. You don't want to do too much seasoning too early in the process for something that's going to be cooking for a while, because the flavors will change over time as the sauce thickens and the water evaporates. So what I'm going to do is turn the temperature down and then put a lid on this that's cracked so that some steam can release, but it's not going to make a splattery mess all over the cooktop, and we'll just let these guys go. All right, welcome back. It's been about 45 minutes. The sauce has been sort of burbling on a low heat, and really just allowing the tomatoes to break down and the chicken and the sauce to really come together. And I've adjusted the seasoning a bit over time, and I think now it's a good time to try. So let's grab a little bit of sauce, hopefully a little chicken, maybe a couple of carrots. I did add some basil as well. I forgot I had some fresh chopped basil that I added about, I don't know, maybe 5-6 minutes ago. So here's the dish. We've got some carrots, a little bit of chicken with this yummy sauce. It's still very, very hot. The chicken is very, very tender. Sauce has got a sweet character to it. It's, you know, a combination of the onions and the sweetness from the carrots that really sort of elevates the sweetness that exists already in the tomatoes. Tomatoes do a really good job of balancing it out with the acid as well. Just a really, really nice dish. And there you have it. Chicken Allison. Something you can make on a weeknight if you have about an hour or so. Probably better for a weekend, but that's the dish. Enjoy.